So I went to the doctor after that last scary event at work, and my language started to change a little bit. I started to talk about how I really know that something is wrong here. So I was pleading with my doctor, please give me some other options. What can I do? I am in pain. There are two different things that are happening. I'm not sure what the second thing is as far as the sharp stabbing pains go. She then started to talk to me again, saying, well, your only options are one, to be on birth control, or two, you can have surgery. But you might not want to have surgery because since your iron is so low, you run the risk of bleeding out during surgery and having a hysterectomy, and you'll never be able to have children. Okay. So those are my options. I felt hopeless. And two, unheard, because when I would talk to her about the sharp stabbing pains that were happening, she would say, yes, this is just another symptom of the bad menstrual cycles that you have. And I kept saying, I'm pretty sure there are two different things that are happening. And she just was not listening. She wasn't hearing me. Instead, the solution she came up with was to put me on another form of birth control. This time, it was the IUD. And that is the device that they insert into your cervix, and it's supposed to prevent pregnancy and, more importantly, balance out your cycles and your hormones so that I wouldn't feel the excruciating pain that I was dealing with on a monthly basis. So again, she had told me that I didn't have any other options. I couldn't do surgery, and that I needed to be on this other form of birth control. I didn't feel like I could go anywhere. I felt stuck. I felt like this was just it. I had to take it because this was how I was going to feel better. So I did. Also at this visit, I remember getting more blood work back, and my gynecologist would talk to me about the results, and she would say, your blood levels are extremely low, your iron levels. I was at 10, which is closer to the normal range they like you to be at. They like you to be between 10 and 12. But on this day, I was at 7. I had lost so much blood during my cycles, and it had gone way down to a 7. What she told me was, when you're at a 7, it's time to have a blood transfusion. And while she did not want me to have a blood transfusion, so she prescribed more iron pills for me and told me to take them 2 times a day in an effort to literally save my life. My gynecologist started to tell me of all the dangers that I was in because my levels were so low at this point. She said that I was in danger of having a heart attack because my iron levels were so low and my heart was pumping blood at a stronger rate. It was pumping blood too hard, to get all the blood throughout my body. So I was in danger of having a heart attack. And then she said I was also in danger of possibly having a stroke. And this information was earth-shattering. I remember listening to her tell me all these things that could go wrong and that should have gone wrong because my iron levels were so low. At this point, my relationship with Christ was a lot of words. I knew what to say. I knew how to say it. I knew that I was supposed to trust God no matter what. Whatever life circumstances bring, always trust God. I would even tell others, trust God. You have to trust God, not knowing exactly what it meant. And that started to be challenged when things started to arise in my body. And it ultimately meant that my response to life circumstances would shift. It would shift from going immediately to fear and kind of relying on the blanket, the cloak that fear had been to me, changing it from that to a stance or a stand of faith and of trust. I know this is happening, but I'm going to choose to trust you, God. I know this is going on in my body. I know I am in pain. And I know that this is even what the doctors are saying. But you are my healer. You are who you say you are. I wish I would have remembered. I wish I would have known to start with faith first, to start with trusting God first, and not shrink back in this comfortable place of fear. So in that moment, after finding all of that out, I wanted to start crying immediately, but I didn't. I held it in, finished listening to what my gynecologist had just told me. And when I got to the car, I remember I just lost it. I started bawling uncontrollably because I had realized that God had literally been sustaining me all this time. I knew him to be a sustainer. I knew him to be the giver of life. I knew him to be a provider, all these things. But it didn't become real to me until I was in that doctor's office and she told me what should have been happening with my body and how I should not even be here. I shouldn't even be alive. It's what she told me, and walking around and functioning. And I was so grateful. I was so grateful to God in that moment because I realized that it was not anything that I was doing in and of myself. I thought I was strong. I thought I had this inner strength that kept me going, but I realized that God had been there with me the entire time and sustained my very life.